Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new to my channel, hello, my name is Gabby and welcome to my strange little YouTube channel. I get so excited when people tell me down below in the comments that they say my intro along with me at the beginning of my videos. I do that with so many other YouTubers, so like, I don't know, the fact that people do that with my videos, like, it always makes my day when you guys tell me that. Anyways, today we are back with another vintage and vanished video. If you are new to my channel and you don't know what that is, I have a series on my channel where I go over vintage cases of people who have mysteriously vanished. I have gotten a lot of requests from you guys to do some sort of a video revolving around missing 411. If you don't know what that is, it is a rabbit hole. If you look it up, you will get sucked down the rabbit hole for hours and hours. It's really interesting, and this case today definitely falls under that. Missing 411 is basically just cases of people who have mysteriously vanished in national parks, and it is spine-chilling. So with that being said, let's just get into it. On June 14th, 1969, Father's Day weekend, 6-year-old Dennis Lloyd Martin was on a camping and hiking trip with his family, one that they took every single year to the Great Smoky Mountains. The family had hiked from Cades Cove to Russell Field and camped overnight, and during the next day hiked again to Spence Field near the Appalachian Trail, where they planned to stay the following night. On June 14th, a little after noon, all the adults were sitting in a field kind of just chatting and chilling out, and Dennis, his older brother, who was about a year older than him, and 2 other boys who were on the trip, decided that they were going to play a little prank on the adults, and they were going to all separate into the woods and jump out at them and scare them. It was just all in good fun. So Dennis's older brother and the 2 other boys went off into the woods, and Dennis went off by himself. Supposedly, the reason Dennis was chosen to go off by himself, even though he was the youngest, was because he was wearing a bright red shirt and that it was very visible. He wouldn't have got lost. The 3 boys jumped out at the adults, they all laughed, and then one of the adults said, "Where's Dennis?" Now the 3 boys just figured that Dennis had missed his cue and he'd be out in a moment. A few minutes went by and Dennis had still not come out of the woods, and unfortunately he never would. Dennis's father, Bill Martin, went to the woods figuring that Dennis was just hiding behind a bush somewhere, but upon looking, he realized that something was very wrong. Dennis was absolutely nowhere to be found. All the adults grew increasingly worried. Bill grabbed his father, which was Dennis's grandfather, Clyde Martin, and they went to the woods and they searched some more, and still they could not find Dennis anywhere. Park rangers were called and there was an extensive search until nightfall for the little boy, but still nothing was found. Then probably one of the worst things happened that could have happened. It rained. So any bit of evidence as to where this little boy could have gone washed away. The next day rolled around and this little boy was still missing. The search for Dennis Martin was one of the most extensive ever done in the park's history, with over 1,400 searchers that covered 56 square miles, including park rangers, volunteers, the FBI, bloodhounds, psychics, and helicopters to help in the search. This was one of the hardest places to look for a little child. I mean, it was the Smoky Mountains. Like, other than there being just dangerous terrain in general, it had been raining on and off and there was thick fog. In the following days though, they still had hope that Dennis would be found. Even though he was 6 years old, he was very smart and he was healthy and he had some hiking experience, he would show up eventually, but they were wrong. The day that Dennis disappeared, about 6 or 7 miles away, a man and his children were attempting to photograph deer. Now, they were standing there trying to photograph these deers and they heard a blood-curdling scream, what sounded like a little boy's scream. The father rushed over in the direction where he heard the scream, and instead of seeing a little boy, he saw a rugged, dirty-looking man dart into the woods. Police ruled this scream out as possibly being Dennis's scream because they said that there was no way that Dennis, on foot, got 6 or 7 miles away in just a few hours, even with the help of a man. There were some locals who helped during the search and were searching the headwaters of West Prong, and they found a footprint. They claimed it was the size of a little boy's footprint and it was from an Oxford shoe, which was the type of shoe Dennis was wearing at the time he disappeared. Police once again ruled this out as being possible evidence because they claimed that searchers had searched in that area and it was probably just one of their footprints. Even though everyone highly doubted that any of the searchers had on Oxford shoes that were that small. There were also a pair of young boys' underwear found, but Dennis's mother claimed that those were not her sons. Dennis's parents put out a $5,000 reward for information leading to the whereabouts of their son. $5,000 in today's time would be about $35,000. Thousands of searchers continued searching until June 26th. Then the search was cut back and officially closed months later on September 14th, 1969. As time went on, the theories as to what possibly happened to Dennis started to develop. There are three main theories in this case. The first one is that wherever he went, he most likely perished the first night due to weather conditions and of course having no food or water. This is very likely. This is what a lot of people think possibly happened to the little boy. It is weird that they never found a body, but you do have to take into consideration that this is a very dangerous terrain. There were a lot of cliffs, there were a lot of creeks. He could have fallen off a cliff or possibly drowned and got carried away by the water. It's very sad to think about, but it is very likely. The next theory is just absolutely horrendous to think about, but you do have to think about the fact that there's not only humans in the Great Smoky Mountains, there's also animals. Bears usually come out of hibernation around March to April, and the summertime months are a very prominent time for bear attacks. So he may have been attacked by a bear or possibly a feral pig and been dragged off. It's weird that they never found his remains or heard a scream, but this could have happened. The last main theory is that he was possibly abducted. This is very likely. It could have happened, but police completely dismissed this theory. They said that there was no way he was abducted, even though that father and his children heard that blood-curdling scream coming from a little boy and then saw that man run into the woods. It's very strange. This man could have been stalking the family and saw the little boy go off by himself and saw this as an opportunity to abduct him, and he possibly got him a few miles away, put him in the woods while he did something else, and then Dennis screamed and he ran back after him. I mean, you don't really know what happened. This is just a theory. Well, several years afterwards, an illegal ginseng hunter, you're probably like, what is an illegal ginseng hunter? Well, ginseng is a plant shrub and it's used for its root. So to harvest it, you have to basically kill the plant, and it is illegal to kill any plants or trees in a national park, so it's considered illegal. This man came forward though to police and told them that he found the skeletal remains of a small child years before, but he didn't want to notify police because he was afraid of getting in trouble for being an illegal ginseng hunter. Police searched the area though. It was about 3 miles from where Dennis disappeared, but they found nothing. At the time of his disappearance, he had brown eyes, brown hair, was 4 feet 1 inches, and weighed 55 pounds.
At 73 years old,
it's happy whatever bird it is.
Dwight McCarter has spent his entire life in these mountains.
It may be a wren. Wrens do a lot of calling like that, you know.
While the retired ranger can name every plant and creature, his real talent is tracking.
For every year that the remains lay in the woods, the Great Smoky Mountains Park layers up 1 inch of debris. And Dennis is lost in '69. How many inches is that? This is 2017. Where would you look?
Let me know what you think down below about this case. I think the abduction theory is a bit likely because I don't think that Dennis would have wandered off by himself, but it is most likely that he did wander off and he just became a victim to his environment. I feel like if he was attacked by a bear or a feral pig or any other sort of animal, that he would have screamed. The boys did not go far off into the woods. They were just on the edge of the woods and were going to jump out. So I don't understand how Dennis would have gotten so far. One thing that I don't really understand about this case, and I know that they're children, I get that they're little kids and they're not as mentally developed, but I don't comprehend why they decided to go off in a group of 3 and a group of 1. That doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, the logical thing would be go off in 2 groups and then none of you are alone by yourselves in the woods. I mean, if I was one of the parents, I would be absolutely freaking out on the children as to why they did this, and I don't know how good of an eye the parents had on the children if they were able to go off into the woods by themselves. Like this, I don't know, like this just could have been so prevented. I did read somewhere, and I have to include this in this video that Dennis had a bit of a learning disability. Like, he was very bright, but sometimes he couldn't handle situations the way a normal child could. He was just a little bit like mentally challenged, and this just makes this story so much worse if it is true. But if it is true, that's another reason why I don't understand why the children let him go off by himself, or the parents didn't have a better eye on their kids. Like, I don't understand. Now, I'm not a detective, I'm not an expert, I'm just a 22-year-old girl who makes videos on YouTube about cold cases, but I do agree with a lot of people when they say that they shouldn't have had so many people go into the woods searching for him. They should have kind of stepped back and had like an expert tracker come in and try to track down where he went. Expert trackers work with police all the time. They go into the woods, they can really, look down at the ground and the, surrounding area and look at broken sticks and leaves and just really figure out where they went. A lot of people keep hope in cases no matter how old they are, but this one, it's just the environment that it occurred in. It's so devastating how unlikely this case is to be solved. And I think the man who found the skeletal remains and not notifying police after knowing that a little boy had went missing in the woods, that was just like the most, if he'd actually found those remains, that is the most selfish thing I have literally ever heard of in my entire life, just saying. As you can tell, I get so into these cases, so let me know down below what you think, and let me know any other vintage cases of people who have mysteriously vanished that you want me to cover on my channel. I love you guys so much. Make sure to like this video and comment down below anything, just comment anything, I'm always replying, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.